Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to give you a full tour of our Arctic Fox 275L and tell you what modifications we've done and what came with the RV. So we're going to walk around the outside and talk about that, and then we're going to do the inside. So let's get started. So first, the outside. We'll just start with this here and work our way around. And this is just a pass-through storage bin. And so it's a small door, so you can put little things in here. We've got firewood and our mat that we lay out and our cable. But other than that, it just passes through to the other side. One thing I'll take out to show you. This sign is just basically a memento from our days in the Air Force, and you see this outside of all military gates, and it's basically saying that you're subject to search when you come on the property. So when we get to a campground, we hang it up on our propane door so people know if they come in the RV, we're going to search them. And in this cabinet is our propane tanks, and this is one feature that we really like because in our old RV, the Cyclone, it had the smaller propane tanks, and we really like having these big ones. And now that we're part-time travelers instead of full-time travelers, we only have to fill the propane every few months, really, because all we really use it for is cooking and heat if we're camping and it's a little cool outside. Now moving underneath where our underneath the fifth wheel where the storage compartment is, this is where we've made some modifications. So we took out the old batteries, we installed these new Battle-Born lithium batteries in here, and along with the batteries we put in a 3,000 watt Victron inverter charger. And the way we installed it was we went through the existing generator wiring. Because this RV was pre-wired for a generator, but we chose not to add it, it made it easy to hook up the inverter charger so that it would run to the panel without having to run a lot of extra wire. We do have two WEN portable generators, and we store those under here when we're going camping. And so there's plenty of room for them here. I also keep the battery monitor, the Victron battery monitor display under here because we use our phones to monitor the batteries. So this battery monitor just stays under here. In this compartment over here is where the batteries were originally mounted, and we took them out of here to put them in the storage bay just so we could mount all four. So I haven't figured out what to do with this space yet. If you're an Arctic Fox owner watching the video and you have ideas, if you've converted this space, let me know. I was thinking of taking this out and welding a plate down here and using it for another storage bay, but it does have a lot of the solar wiring and stuff that comes into this bay before it goes across. And as you can see in a couple spots on the RV, it does have plug-ins for external panels, and we actually mounted ours on the roof, and we haven't used these yet. So, but they're still here, the wiring is still all here, we just haven't ever hooked up an external panel to it. Now this is the other side of the storage bay, and this is a much bigger opening, so we put a lot of stuff in here, and excuse the mess, it's kind of messy, but I do want to show you a couple things here. And one is we moved, it didn't come with a fire extinguisher outside, so we moved the existing fire extinguisher that came with the RV outside, and you'll see the other extinguishers that we put inside. It does have an electronic leveling system for our jacks, which makes it really nice, and we really like having this. It's the same one that was on our other RV, and this one works just as good. We never have problems leveling unless we're in a really unlevel site, and then we might have to level it manually. Also in here is our solar charge controller. So our Victron solar charge controller. This RV did come with a small, like 15 amp charge controller, but we added a bunch of solar. So we added a bigger solar charge controller. So we use this Victron. Again, it's all can be controlled through your phone, through Bluetooth. So we really like it. It's stored down here out of the way. And for those of you that didn't know, behind the panel behind where that solar charge controller is, it's a big open space. So we use that to run a lot of wiring down from the roof and also store some of the bigger tools down there that we rarely use, but we need to have them in the RV. So I'm not going to take that panel off because it's kind of a pain, but just know that behind this panel, there is a pretty good amount of space for storage. And like I said, for running wiring down from the roof. Next to the storage bay is the water cabinet. In here also is the battery cutoff switch and the satellite and cable hookups. So just your basic water bay. That's all I really have to say about that. The other thing I wanted to say is that there are tons of LED lights out on the outside of the RV near all the areas where you would need access to in the dark. So the LED lights are really nice. They're really bright when it's dark outside. The power hookup is in the back of the RV, and we have most of these come in a 30 amp, but our RV is a 50 amp, and we'll show you why inside. We have an extra AC that we never really use, but it's nice having that 50 amp power. And one thing we did was, because that 50 amp cable is too heavy to fit through this little opening they have here, we took some Velcro, and so when we're at a campground and we're hooked up, we can just Velcro this there, and then when we're getting ready to leave after we unhook the power, we just have to remember to unvelcro it and then lock it closed. So that's one little fix we did, because our 50 amp is so much heavier than the 30 amp cable that would normally go here. So up on the roof here is our solar panels. You can see we have 4 panels up here, and then there's one small one, an 80-watt panel on the main air conditioner. And so we have a total of 860 watts up here on the roof. Okay, so on this side of the RV where the door is, we have our water heater, of course, and then there's also a couple of outlets here, 110s, so if you're sitting outside and you want to plug in your computer or something, that is there. And then I just want to show the refrigerator. We actually removed, and we'll show you inside, that we removed the existing propane RV refrigerator and put in like a dorm style refrigerator, freezer. So out here I just had to put in a new outlet, a 3-prong outlet in this bay here. So I did that, and then also had to cap off the propane line because we didn't want to get rid of it in case we ever want to go back to that style of refrigerator. We have the line available. So you'll see the refrigerator on the inside, but it fits nicely in this space, and it worked out really well for us. Also on this side is the fresh water fill, and it's on the opposite side of the water bay. But this actually is nice because you know that this is for fresh water only, and you're not going to put any non-potable type water in here. This is only the fresh water fill, so that's nice, and it's right here on this side of the RV. So normally we'll have to run a hose underneath, or if we're filling it up at home, you know, we know that it's going to be filled up right here. We also have these MORryde step above steps, and these fold up into the doorway when we're underway. And when they come out, they're adjustable on the bottom, so you can make them level, and it makes for a really sturdy step. On our previous RV, we just had steps that pulled out, and they didn't go all the way to the ground. And having that level surface really makes a difference and keeps bouncing and any kind of damage to your steps, because they are sturdy. Now let's go inside and take a look at the interior of this Arctic Fox.
Okay, so when you first walk in, you'll see that it's actually a very large living area, and that is because the Arctic Fox has what's known as a super slide. So it's not opposing slides, it's only one slide on this side, but it's much deeper than a traditional slide. And so we have learned over time at the campground how much room we really have to leave on this side. And it does get a little tricky when you're in a narrow spot, because these more ride steps you saw, they also come out pretty far. And then you have this slide that comes out pretty far. So you have to have enough room for those steps to be on something. But then obviously, depending on where your power hookups are, or if there's any trees, you have to make sure you have enough room for the slide. And at the end of this video, we will show you what this room looks like with the slide in, so that you can see what all we can still access, even if we're stopping for the night at, say, a Cracker Barrel or something like that, where we don't want to bother with putting the slides out. So the floor plan that we chose was to come with recliners and a dining table, not the booth. Another option was like a little love seat style. I'm not sure if that had a fold out bed or not, but if it did, I kind of do wish we'd have gone with that, just so we'd have had a little bed. But Sean really does love his recliner, and it really is just two of us the majority of the time. So that was kind of our plan with buying this RV, was buying one that fit us the majority of the time. Now the dining table is really nice because it has an extension, so you could pull that out and then have an extra little space, because you can see like this is real cozy. So if people were over and you wanted more room to spread out a little bit when you're eating so you're not bumping elbows, you could do that. It also, this is storage, but it opens from this end down here to get into the storage. It doesn't open on this end. In addition, every one of the chairs also lifts up and has a little bit of storage in it. So one of the things that I really love about this RV is this huge pantry right here. And you're going to see it's basically empty right now, because it's actually so big and there's so many other cabinets that I don't need to use it when we go on weekend trips. I only use it when we go on long trips. So if you are getting this type of RV, just one thing to know: if you stock up this pantry, this latch does not hold. There's one at the top and one at the bottom, and it doesn't hold super well. So I have two things that I do to help with that. One is I have these expandable rods, and you can adjust them, and I have them on every shelf. So if I have like canned goods or things that are heavy, I'll put this here so that they can't bump into the door and push it open. And then another thing that I do is I have a bungee cord, and the bungee cord I hook from the latch right there to the drawer right here, and it fits exactly right, and it keeps that door from opening. Because what you'll see when we show you what it's like when the slide is closed at the end, the slide comes up in front of this, and one time the door opened up just enough for like all the canned goods and boxes and stuff to be down here, and it was like really difficult to get it out without, opening the slide. So as you can see, there's a lot more storage here, and then I put some bins up top so that I have additional storage. There's plenty of drawers, 3 on this side and 3 large ones over on this side. It has a double sink, and then the water faucet thing that comes out like that. So that's really nice. These are all really deep cabinets. So when I'm going on a weekend trip, this is where I just pack everything. I don't even bother with the big pantry. But the big pantry was super nice when we were full-time living in the RV, not only for food, but I used it for other storage. And then of course there's more storage up above the microwave. So this RV, I really love the Furrion appliances that came in this one. Furrion microwave, stovetop, and oven. This RV oven is so much bigger than the one that we had. We had this super large fifth wheel with the tiny little suburban oven that you could just barely fit anything in. But this one is much larger. And in addition to that, it doesn't really burn my food the way that the smaller one did because the heating element's a little bit lower. And this microwave, I forgot to say, is also a convection oven. So you could also bake in there. So this is all electric, obviously, and then the oven is propane. So depending on what type of camping you're doing, whether you're at full hookups or whether you're out boondocking, might kind of dictate which one you use. I like them both. Usually in the winter I'll use this because it puts off a little bit of heat too, and in the summer I'll use this so it doesn't put off that heat. Then, as Sean said, we changed out the refrigerator. So what we had right here was a Norcold propane or electric refrigerator. We switched it to an all-electric refrigerator. We were having problems with the old one, and we just decided to go all-electric. As Sean already pointed out, we have lithium batteries and an inverter, so it makes it very easy to run this even on travel days while we're underway, and even when we're boondocking, it uses hardly any power, so it's no problem at all. And it's still very large. It's the exact same size footprint as the Norcold that we had. And so as you can see, there's plenty of room in here and in the freezer. There's additional storage here and up above the TV. So we have quite a lot of storage in here. And I like this feature right here. It pulls out, and this is where I can put most of my cans. So of course it has a television and a radio. The radio has a speaker outside so you can listen to it outside of your RV. And then Sean's dish receiver, another storage, and then this, instead of storage, this is the panel. So another thing that I really love about this big room is there a lot of airflow. So there is a fantastic fan, a ceiling fan, and an air conditioner. And then of course for some nice natural light, not airflow, there's also a skylight. The nice thing about the skylight is that it does have a cover that you could, if it was really hot and you wanted to try to reduce some of that heat, you could move the cover over. Of course you need to use your step ladder for that. So speaking of that fantastic fan, right here behind the TV mounted to the wall is a little remote for it. Then right here in the entryway is another place that we took that, Sean showed you that fire extinguisher, the small one. We took that out, put it in the storage bay, and we put a much larger one here. And then this is one of my favorite features of this RV, a clever little storage idea. There's a door right here, and then a sliding coat rack. So you can see there's several different hooks. And there's room down here to be able to add, to be able to put a few things like we'll put hats or sunscreen, the dog leash, things like that you want right by the door. Okay, so now like most traditional fifth wheels, we're going to go up the stairs and go into the bathroom and then the bedroom. I will just let Sean film in the bathroom because that is the smallest place in here, but a few things that I like about it, as you'll see, is there are plenty of cabinets and storage spaces as well. I really do like this extra little feature. I know a lot of people say they could go without it, but it's just an extra little mirror, so you could use it for shaving or plucking your eyebrows, and it has the regular and then the magnified, and it does plug in and it's lighted. And then of course there's a nice medicine cabinet, there's lights in here, and then behind the door there's a nice big linen cabinet. So one of the options with the Arctic Fox 27.5L fifth wheel is a second air conditioning unit. And we opted to go ahead and get it because we weren't sure if we were going to need it or not. And it's back here in the bedroom. So we actually don't use it a lot though. And the reason why is this one's a little bit different. it runs like all the time, which kind of annoys me a little bit when I'm sleeping. And also the main air conditioner is still ducted to go through the vents here in the bedroom right over the bed. So we don't necessarily need it. But when it comes in really handy is when you get somewhere and it's, you know, been a long travel day and it's a little warm, you can turn this on and it really helps cool down the RV very quickly. We got the queen size bed, and the thing that I like about this queen size bed is that it's total walk around for both of us. We both each have our own nightstand with a drawer and a cabinet below it and a cabinet above it. Both of the nightstands have the electrical outlet and they also have the USB outlet. Now, this little shelf up here is so short. It's only about this deep, so I just use it decorative. I have these little lights when we're hooked up to power. I'll plug them in, and it just is like a little ambiance. But so it also does have this extra little LED light strip that came with it, and you can see it's right here up under the bed. It actually makes a nice little night light for reading, but each side of the bed has its own night light that you can move around a little bit, and you could turn that on as well. And then of course there's more storage in here besides that's on each side of the bed. We have the big closet here. And this is shelves, and usually if we're traveling, particularly when we're taking long trips, I'll put bins in there. And then this also is a closet where you could hang clothes up here. I'm kind of using it as like a look for our extra linens right now. And then there's also a couple of drawers down here. And then finally, like any type of RV, you can lift up the bed, and we have extra storage underneath the bed. Once again, there is a skylight also in the bedroom, and it also has that accordion style that the one in the kitchen, I couldn't really show you. But we leave that open almost all the time. It's really nice to just kind of lay there and see the stars at night, and in the morning to have that natural light filtering in. So I really actually love that feature. Even when we were in Arizona in August, the Arctic Fox is so well insulated that it was cool enough in here that I never felt the need to, like some people, put foam up in there in different types of RVs or keep that closed because they're worried about the heat. But it was never a problem for us. So the last thing that I want to just show you is what it looks like when the slides are in, so that you could see if you were stopping for a quick overnight, or also in the living room if you were just stopping for lunch and didn't want to have to open things up, what it looks like. So as you can see, when the slide is in all the way, those cabinets do come up flush to the bed. So the person that is on this side of the bed is going to have to, you know, climb up a little bit to get on. It's not walk around when that slide is in, and you wouldn't be able to access those drawers. So when the slide is in, the only thing that I cannot access in this living room / kitchen was that pantry. That pantry is back behind the slide now, but I can still definitely access all of these cabinets here. And for cooking and the sink, completely, as you can see, I'm not squeezed in here at all. I have plenty of room for anything that I want to do without having to put that slide out. Refrigerator opens completely. So that is one thing that we really love about this Arctic Fox. So there you have it. That's a basic tour of our Arctic Fox 275L. We've had it for like 2 years and 3 months now, and we are as in love with it now as we were when we bought it.
So you've seen a couple things that we did to our Arctic Fox as we've gone through. Please put in the comments anything that you've done to your Arctic Fox. And until we see you on the road, safe travels.